everybody, and welcome into the SFA Season 20 Team of the Year Selection Show. We're coming off of an amazing national championship game. Congratulations to Coach Dave and Penn State. But now we're here to celebrate the season and pick the best players of the year. As always, you guys are more than welcome to help me figure it out. But first, we are doing the what is this? This is the wheel spin here. I forgot to open my Twitch. Hold on. I gotta open up my Twitch to see you guys here. Hold on, you see how many viewers are. I don't want to go too quickly here. So I don't see anybody in here quite yet. That's perfectly fine. Let me just throw it on this screen here. Alright, so we got a ton of people on the wheel. We got Dogwater with the biggest square. This is for a reward player. We've got Pete's on the wheel, we got Keat on the wheel, Cam on the wheel, Fi on the wheel, and of course me on the wheel. I always get one square in the raffle since I watch every single game. So who is going to get the 80 overall raffle reward player? Here we go. Who is going to get it? Oh, baby! On your dome, Dogwater! Team of the year! Oh my god! On your dome! 75K, and for what, fat boy? Let's go. I get an 80 overall. The Wisconsin Baddies are so back. We're so back. All right, well, enough of that. Let's get on into the stream here. Team of the year time. So if you don't know what this is, we go through the final stats of the year, pick the players that are most deserving of team of the year status, and we put them down. So we need 2 quarterbacks. Now, interesting thing we have to discover here. Remember, this is team of the year. So you have like Corey Light, who just played 18 games, versus like Major Pibb, who played 14, right? So there's a big game play discrepancy here. So right now, Danny Omaha, he played, what was that, 15, 16 games? And he has 5,700 yards, 53 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions, 70% completion. So Danny Omaha, I think we give him the slight edge over Major Pibb. I think you give Major Pibb number 2. He got SFA Player of the Year. But I don't think it's quite enough to unseat him. Nuke Jennings didn't do better, neither of them. Pickleman, neither. Yeah, in terms of yardage here, I want to see what Thad Russell did on the ground, because he's probably going to end up being a SFA player. Oh my god, he went 1,114 touchdowns on the ground. Dude is an absolute beast. So do you give Thad Russell a team of the year spot? That is the question. 3,900 yards, 29 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 1,100 yards, 14 rushing touchdowns. So combined, that's 30. That's 43 touchdowns. I don't think that's enough. So we're going to give it to Danny Omaha and Major Pibb, but we're going to give Danny Omaha QB1 this year. Major Pibb will get number 2. Let me know if you have any gripes or thoughts. So as you look here, most rushing yards this year was the Quentin Sims. He averaged 5 a carry. He had 2,200. Malik Phillips, a shitload less carries, 200 less yards. I mean, 20 touchdowns versus DeQuinton Sims, 27. Long 95, 20 plus yards, broken tackles. Let's look at the receiving here. He won this Heisman. So he had 300 additional yards and 8 additional touchdowns. Dieredo. Receiving, he had 9. Dude, DeQuinton Sims should get number 1, man. Yeah, yards per game, of course. So what did Rado do through the air? He had 23 rushing touchdowns. He didn't do anything through the air. Okay, so of course Malik Phillips has 20 touchdowns. I think this is kind of the same thing. I think you give DeQuinton Sims number 1, and then you give Malik Phillips number 2. They both have great receiving, but just so many more touchdowns. I know he had more carries and a lot more games, but they did make the SFA championship. Dogwater, I always get 1 square in the... I always give myself 1 ticket. I've never won it before until today. So, I think we're going to go Sims. And I think we'll go Malik Phillips. Gotta perform in the postseason. It's just as important. Clark Vivek, last guy to look at, 1,700 yards. And once again, he got no receiving touchdowns. Alright, receiving now. SFA players only, of course. T-Bone leads the way in receiving yards. Only 93 receptions. He had 15 touchdowns. Did somebody have an insane amount of touchdowns? Okay, Jamar Cotton had 17. Jumping Bull, T-Bone, and of course, Slockabauer. Average yards per game, Blankenship. Okay, so where do we go here? Do you go T-Bone? He had 15 touchdowns. Any rushing is the question. You go Brady Blankenship, 14, less touchdowns, less touchdown or less receiving yards. Bert Rouge had a crazy year. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, so I had 2, so he had 14. Bork Buns had 1431. Amari Dill, no. Paul Burton. Okay, so do you go Jumping Bull? I mean, Dakota Jumping Bull just had a better year in terms of playoff impact. I don't know why they give him the Bolentikov. I'm not even sure. And maybe just not enough yards for Jamar Cotton to get in there. $17 touchdowns. I mean, Jamar Cotton, they didn't even play that many games. Like 17 touchdowns, pretty nutty. Of course, Mark Griffin had a crazy year. So I think you reward T-Bone. I think you also reward. So I think T-Bone for sure is number 1. Now for number 2, drops for these guys, 5, 5. Bert Rouge had 8. Jumping Bull had 8. Slockbauer had 10. I don't think Slockbauer is good enough. And then let's look at... So yeah, the only thing keeping me with Jamar Cotton is the touchdowns. Like, he had so many... He's such a deep threat. I think maybe you give Jamar Cotton number 4. And then I think you give Blankenship and Dakota Jumping Bull number 3. Number 2 and 3. Yeah, 18 per reception. That's good for 4th in the nation. Yeah, only 73 receptions is pretty good. So I feel like you give Jamar Cotton 4th just because of the touchdowns. And then you got to choose 2 out of Blankenship and Jumping Bull, and Slockbauer. I mean, Blankenship, they did make the playoff. Jumping Bull had the walk-off. I feel like Jumping Bull should be Team of the Year. And then you just got to decide if you do Slockbauer or Blankenship in that 3 spot. I think I'm going to give Dakota Jumping Bull number 2. So Slockbauer, very similar stats to Jumping Bull. Right, yeah, Jumping Bull I'm only putting here because he had the walk-off in the Cotton Bowl. Blankenship, they didn't really do much. Vert Rouge, I don't think deserves it. I think Slockbauer, he already got himself a Belentikov. I don't think he needs a Team of the Year. So we'll give Brady a Blankenship. And then Jamar Cotton. The 3rd. Alright, so now we gotta figure out tight ends. Now, one tight end we have to keep in mind, he's somewhere here. Yes, in the rushing category. We gotta look for him. Where is Rupert? Did I already pass Rupert? Nope, Rupert Bogarts. He had 862 yards, 8 touchdowns running, and then he also added 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns receiving. He's easily going to be the top tight end here. So Rupert Bogarts. For sure. So Boise has 3 Team of the Year players. Okay, now let's do... Now we gotta go find a regular stinky tight end. I think it's gonna end up being the Eastern Michigan guy, James LeGlaze. We'll have to see. Okay, Philip Gardasani, he had 1162 and 11 touchdowns. That's pretty good. Did I miss a tight end already? No. Yeah, so Rupert led all tight ends anyways, so Gardasani, see if anyone else comes close here. I'm going to go down to 1,000 yards. Takario Barrett had a good year. Nope, okay. And then any crazy touchdown tight ends. Nope. Oh, Guy Yacht, he had 985 and 11. That's not as good as... That's not as good as Philip Gardasani, so it will be Gardasani who gets it. Let me go find him. Alright, blocking, here we go. This one's always fun. Who is getting on the board? So, you have Hunter Powell, 94 pancakes, 5 sacks. I don't know if we can go better. We always have the, how do you balance them? Schlongbaum, 86 and 5, so Powell above Schlongbaum. Non-SFA guys here. Bruno Sardine went 73 and 2. So how many pancakes is worth a sack is the question. Zane Radcliffe went 67 and 2. Iago de la Cruz had 8. Jarrett Robertson only gave up 5. Lambjaw, 4. Alright, so I feel like we have enough to make a decision here. Tuba Tortellini, 54 and 3. Jorkin Kirchhoff, 53 and 1. I'm just going to go down to 50. Spencer Collins, hell yeah, no sacks given up. We'll take that. McIntyre, 51 and 3. And no, nothing below. So do you think, for Sardine, 21 pancakes, is that worth 3 sacks? I think maybe. Is it, if a sack is worth 10 pancakes, I mean, 94 pancakes is absurd. We're going to give Hunter Powell right tackle. Penn State's first Team of the Year player. All right, Schlongbaum probably next up. So left tackle slides into left guard. Okay. And then who gets the last 2 spots? Do you go 67 and 2? Probably. I mean, he's a left guard. I think you give... Okay, we'll give Shane Schlongbaum right guard. And then you give Zane Radcliffe TTU. Okay, so now we just have the center left. I think we're going to give it 65 and 8's pretty bad. I think we're going to give it to 55 and 1 over here for Jorkin Kirchhoff. Iowa State. All right, so now we're on to defensively. Koala Cruz leads the way in tackles this year, because of course he does. So we're going to focus on D-line first, though. So TFL's Xavier Rankins led the way in TFL's. Crispy Kramer had 31. Medlock, Roy Roberts, Brewer, Dunbar, Lucius Dunbar. So you got 31. So yeah, I don't think any of the guys have picks. All right, so Iowa 28-7, 31-7.5. I think Crispy Kramer takes the cake. Is 11 more tackles worth? How about forced fumbles? Okay, Rankins had a forced fumble. Lucius Dunbar as well. Any defensive score? No. You also have Kenzie Agnew, 28 and 3.5. Gary Van Allen went 27 and 7. Juwan Hooper, 26 and 7.5. Alright, let's see sack numbers here. D'Andrea Hummer wound up with 10.5. I think that's probably good enough to get him Team of the Year. He's the only SFA player with 10 plus sacks this year. But where do we put him is the question. I think you give the nod to Xavier Rankins. Just, well, forced fumble. More tackles, better, equal team success. Who should get first? Crispy Kramer or Xavier Rankins? Xavier Rankins has a forced fumble. 1 more TFL, 1.5 less sacks, but he has a forced fumble and he has 11 more tackles. I think you give Dunbar 4. I'm going to pencil in Dunbar for 4. Alright, we're going to give Xavier Rankins. And we're going to give Chris P. Kramer. And then third, we're going to give to Dondrea Hummer. He had 10.5 sacks. He did have a sack in the Natty as well. All right, time for linebackers. Who gets the best linebackers in the country? Is it going to be Koala Cruz? He went 14-5. He led the nation in tackles. No picks, though. He had 10 deflections, 3 forced fumbles, and no turnovers. Okay, and then, of course, you have legend Ziggy Tozama. He had 3 more TFLs, 1 less sack, no picks, 6 deflections, 3 forced fumbles. He had 4 recoveries. Who else is going to make us? Jaden John, he had over 100 tackles. He had 5 TFLs, 2 sacks. He had a pick. 4 deflections, 1 forced fumble, no touchdown. Walker Trapp, I want to see his stats because he won best linebacker. 100 tackles, 20 TFLs, 5.5 sacks. He had a pick. 8 deflections, he had 4 forced fumbles, 5 recoveries, and no defensive touchdowns. Walker Trapp is a Team of the Year player here. Kenny Bornholtz, what did he do? 17, 4.5, 3 picks. Okay, so that's more picks than most. Zeus Nyberg, he didn't really do enough. Tyrell Smoochie had 22 TFLs, 4.5 sacks, 2 picks, 10 tackles, no TFLs. Man, yeah, Walker Trapp's gonna be 1. So I think we have a lot of good options here. We could go Tyrell Smoochie. So I think the options are Tyrell Smoochie. You can try and go, I don't think Jaden John has enough aura here. He didn't do enough. Or you go Koala Cruz, or you go Ziggy Tozama. The 4 recoveries is wild for Ziggy. So how many, I mean, a lot more tackles, but Smoochie had a lot more TFLs than both of them. He had half a sack less. He had 2 more picks than both of them, just a lot less of the fumbles. There are 3, so we have Walker Trapp 1. Question is, does Tyrell Smoochie have enough with 97, 22, and 4.5? The Team of the Year runs a 4-3. No picks, man. 5 sacks. Yeah, I know. Team success is a factor here. I think Tozama is out this year, unfortunately. I think you go Koala Cruz too. And I think you go Tyrell Smoochie. Just too much not to give a look. All right, on to the corners. William Williams with 8. Reggie Axelson, the safety, had 7. Did a decent year for sure. Yeah, we had 97 tackles. I mean, it's pretty close. Derek Sims, Bram Buckshot. I think we might have our 2 corners here, or our 2 safeties. I think Reggie Axelson and Bram Buckshot. I think Buckshot probably beats him. Paulo Blackwell here, though, too. He also had 6 interceptions. He didn't have any sacks or anything. Olipidus Xander here. All right, so we already have our safeties. It's going to be Bram Buckshot. From Army. And then it's going to be Reggie Axelson from Texas. Now, Olipidus Xander here. He had 5 interceptions and he had 11 deflections. Dorian Lennox-Lee had 5 picks. He had 7 deflections, and then he also had the return for the touchdown. So maybe Dorian Lennox-Lee might be back in the top column here. Buffy DeVito, another safety, SFA player. Jacoby Wishbone, 5 deflections. He had 4 picks. Ladie Eccles, SFA player, had 4 interceptions, 13 deflections, but not much. Okay, here we go. Theo Morton, 4 tackles. Did he have a pick 6? No. All right, let me look, see if there's any, like, deflection merchants here. 19. Mohammed Habib had 15. He only had 2 interceptions. I think you go Theo Morton. Unless somebody had, like, multiple pick 6s. Grant and Jason. Yeah, okay. So, we got our 3 corners here. So, the top corner of the year is going to be Dorian Lennox-Lee. Then Olipidus Xander from Baylor. And finally, Theo Morton, the Yam legend for Alabama. All right, so let's get our special teams here. So best kicker, best punter. So percentage-wise, I mean long. All right, percentage-wise, 99. Diego Ronquillo, he had 88%, 45 yards, 15 makes. Emmanuel Dogby, 85%, 12 makes from 48. Mitch Mulligan, 82%, 14 makes, 36. Viero, 78%. Where is... Okay, Jimmer Jimerson had 20, 76%. Okay, so how do we value made field goals? Because 75% here for Charlie Parkinson, 47 long. You got Jimerson here. I think you give it to Parkinson. He had 2 more makes and a farther one, and he was on a natty winner. Well, less games, though. Jimmy Jimerson, I guess, is ahead of him. Ronquillo was 88% though. How elite is 88%? Is it worth 5 less makes? I feel like 88% is pretty insane. Shankakowski went 12 for 16. So I'm thinking between Diego Ronquillo. Do any of them have one blocked? Ethan Pruitt, nope. Okay. I guess it could come down here to, did Diego miss an extra point at all? He missed 2 extra points! Alright, so if Jimerson did not miss 2 extra points, it's gonna go to Jimerson. Jimerson only missed 1. There you go. So Jimmy Jimerson gets it. All right, now punting. Most yardage. I think average probably is a good indicator here. Nuke Jennings, could he get punter of the year? 61, 43.5. How many punts were down? 6. Vogel Climax had 10. He had 0.1 less. Yeah, Vogel Climax is better. Rory Greer, did he have an insane amount? No. Boris Handshoe, only 1. How did Sonnenberg win? I don't see him on any of these lists. He won the Guy Award. Where's Sonnenberg? What the heck? How does this win you the Guy? He averaged 42 yards a punt. He had 53 punts. I don't know, man. Seems like a bit of a stretch on that one. So the best average, we're going to give it to Vogel Climax. He's the best punter this year. Just over Nuke Jennings. Alright, so that'll do it for Team of the Year. Now let's just go through, I'll go through some stats categories here. We've already gone through most of them. Danny Omaha, most interceptions was Brooklyn Porter. Oh no. Yards per game, completion percentage. The long was Lance Kelly. Least amount of sacks, most sacks was Brian Griffin. 2,000 yards here for DeQuinton. Highest average was 8. Longest one was Anthony Burke. He had a 100-yarder. Yards after contact, Rideau and Phillips. 920-plus rushes for Malik. Broken tackles, Rideau. Most fumbles, Tamara Paywood. Receiving, Humberto Reyes with the longest one of the year. Hell yeah, brother. Most drops, 16. Casey Jones had 16. Who gave up the most sacks this year? 19 for Chuck Williams. Alright, sacks, interceptions. Forced fumbles. Stevie Waller guy kind of cooked. A lot of blocks here for some SFA players. Loquan Drumstick let him cook. Alright, so that'll do it for the stream. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys a little later.